Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to call to order the Board of Commissioners workshop meeting discussion on the city manager. Today is August the 21st, 2025. It is 2 p.m. City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Brooks. Here. Vice Mayor Kerr. Here. Commissioner Taglerini.
Here.
Commissioner McGeehan.
Here.
Commissioner Gavayi.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. We'll start with public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you are addressing the commission, step to the podium and state your name and address for the record and the organization or group you represent. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and do not include any topic on the agenda. Public comment on agenda items will be allowed when they come up. If you would like someone at the city to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, you may fill out a comment card with contact information and give it to the city manager. Comment cards are available at the back table in the commission chambers. Completing a comment card is not mandatory. Would anyone like to make a public comment on an item that is not on the agenda? With no public comment, we will move into the discussion on the city manager. I will start the discussion by saying that I requested this workshop today for the commission and the public to be able to discuss the city manager's performance. As elected officials, it is our responsibility to ensure that the city of Madeira Beach has strong, effective leadership, to best serve our residents, businesses, and staff. Unfortunately, it has become clear that under the current leadership of City Manager Robin Gomez, our city is not receiving the direction it needs. The purpose of today's meeting is to outline key issues with our current city manager, Robin Gomez's performance and support the need to begin a search for new leadership. I'm going to go through a few of the items that I previously spoke about in our meeting before we open up to public comment. First off, lack of leadership and accountability. Mr. Gomez has consistently failed to provide the leadership necessary to guide his staff. Departments have lacked clear direction, accountability, and timely follow-through, resulting in inefficiencies and frustration among both employees and the public. Just to note a few, the dredging project was reported incorrect information on the permit process and has not provided timely updates. The jetty removal allowed the jetty to be removed without commission approval. Not adhering to the city's purchasing policy, examples include the piling project that was approved at over $30,000 by the city manager. He did not follow the proper procedure. The Integris contract for $60,000 was signed on September 16th without commission approval, and a budget amendment was later brought forward on May the 28th, 2025. Which was at that time questioned by the commission. On the pilings, he failed to hold a public meeting in regards to the pilings that were put out off of the beach after being specifically requested by a commission member to hold a public meeting. The city did not apply for LMS grant monies, missing a funding opportunity that cost the city hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Poor communication and responsiveness. Our community and commission expect transparency and responsiveness. Too often, communication has been delayed, incomplete, or just dismissive. This erodes the public trust and weakens our ability to govern effectively. Examples: lack of updates when requested by the commission on key projects and issues, including the dredging, the jetty, the snack shack, Tom and Kitty Stewart Park, and post-storm repairs within the city. Inaccurate information provided to the commission, including the jetty. It was stated on the dais that the rebar and concrete had been removed when no material at all had been removed at that time. Dredging misstated the permit status and process, timelines, agency steps, etc. The way Mr. Gomez speaks to residents and business owners showing favoritism towards some and dismissiveness towards others is unprofessional and not the standard of leadership or representation that I want for our city. Lack of preparation and staff support. A successful city manager fosters teamwork, preparation, and morale. Instead, we have seen disengagement, low motivation, and a lack of initiative among staff, systematic of an environment without strong, supportive leadership from the top. Examples: came unprepared to commission meetings. For example, when requested that staff present their appropriation needs, he came to the commission without that information. When asked to provide a bullet point account of code enforcement processes, he did not prepare or provide it. Fails to provide timely, accurate updates to commissioners. Dismissed post-hurricane recovery needs as not a priority, specifically the snack shack and Kitty Stewart Park. These items have all been discussed here on the dais, as well as before I have brought anything up on the dais for the public or to my co-commissioners. I have had these conversations one-on-one with Robin in our one-on-ones. My confidence in Mr. Gomez's ability to lead has diminished both among commissioners and within the community. Without confidence in our chief administrator, the city cannot move forward effectively. Confidence among commissioners and the community has significantly diminished. Without strong leadership, the city cannot move forward effectively. In conclusion, for these reasons, I believe it is in the best interest of our residents, staff, and future progress to begin the search for a new city manager who can bring strong leadership, accountability, and vision to Madeira Beach. At this time, before the commission speaks to one another, I'd like to open to public comment. If you have any public comment, please step forward. You will have 5 minutes each.
Hello, my name's Belinda Gonzer. I own over at Madeira Beach Yacht Club. Excuse me if my voice is shaking, I'm really nervous. But on 2 separate occasions, I had interactions with Mr. Gomez. One was during the very beginning of permitting process. Myself, my husband, and a board member at large and his wife were engaged with Mr. Gomez out front regarding permits. And he said to us, "Why are you even worried about permits? I heard a developer is going to buy that property and knock it down and rebuild." At my age, I spent almost my entire life dreaming that someday I would be fortunate enough to work hard enough to be able to afford a place over there. And that was like having part of my soul torn completely out. Last week, while over here working on getting permits for other people that are opting out, of 133 destroyed downstairs units across the street, 2 of them are back to livable, so to speak, and 50 owners have now opted out, have borrowed from their retirement accounts, and are paying out of pocket to hire private contractors to rebuild. When I was in the office talking with one of the permitting techs, Mr. Gomez said to me, "Did you even live there full time before the storm?" Which was shattering. My husband and I do own 4 properties in Pinellas County, but this is the most favorite one in our hearts. We have a 30-foot boat there. My grandkids were here from Maryland a couple weeks ago. They were devastated. They couldn't stay there, as well as how much of Johns Pass is still destroyed. And it's something they look forward to a couple times a year. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment?
John Hendricks, 569 Normandy Road. I hate to be up here. This is a double-edged sword for me. I was involved in the hiring of Mr. Gomez, and for a number of years, I considered him a close personal friend. Something changed several years ago. I don't know what it was. Many things that were put through by the commission when I was on it just have not gotten done. In fact, we've never heard a word about them since then. There's been no follow-up. And it goes from one thing to another, from docks at ROC Park so that boats can park there and enjoy the park or walk to the downtown area, to the parking garage we passed a resolution to work towards a parking garage. A 50 cent an hour increase was put in place specifically for the parking garage. Once I was out of office, another plan came along, and I think some engineering was done on a garage at the 130th Street lot. Next thing I know, there is another plan to move the parking across the street into the village itself. Never to hear any more about the other parking lot. Patriot Park, which was approved by the commission when I was in office. Mr. Gomez and myself and Commissioner Govey, he was not a commissioner at that time. We went around and looked at other sites. We came up with a basic idea because I was tasked with that. After I was out of office, Mr. Gomez was going to get with me, and he was going to get with Commissioner Hodges. Never happened. I have no idea what it's going to look like because he never bothered having that meeting. On top of that, Northside Engineering did all the engineering work for that park. It was scrapped, and the city went out and hired another engineering firm to redo it. And we have just continued to throw good money after bad. The jetties, the dredge, I worked hard on that project. I worked hard on getting the city the funding to do that project. Linda Cheney worked hard on it to get it from the state. And the ball has been dropped. I've been out of office for 2.5 years, and that project appears to be no farther along than it was. The jetties that the fishermen and everybody used to walk out on for sunsets or to go fishing was easily repairable. But for whatever reason, Mr. Gomez took it upon himself just to destroy it. There's been a history of not following through. Now, 2 years ago, our budget was $25 million. The city of Seminole's budget, who is 5 times larger than Madeira Beach, is $28 million. The proposed budget for this year, $46 million. Another $21 million in 2 years. That's obscene for a town this small. It's obscene. You can't do all of your projects at one time. Robin, I loved you like a brother. I don't know what happened, but you're not the Robin Gomez I used to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have additional public comment?
Good afternoon. Robin Stack, 728 Sunset Cove. I have one small anecdotal interaction with Mr. Gomez. November 5th.
Could you speak up a little?
November 5th, came here to vote. He was coming out of the office. I was coming out by the elevator. I saw the tag, well, the yellow jumpsuit from FEMA. Oh, city manager, this is perfect. So I said to him, do you know about the no gouging law in Florida, which requires contractors to use the old prices prior to a storm for 60 days after the emergency is over? He said, yeah, I got that. I know all about it. And I thought, well, that was a pretty quick answer. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Okay, he's got it. I go vote. I voted correctly, by the way. Anyways, I go vote. About 3 months later, my neighbor comes to me and says he was being turned down on his, I guess it's the significant damage. Because the city of Madeira Beach came in with an estimate for $30,000 for drywall. He had an estimate for $11,000. Their prior storm cost should have been about $6,000. If the city manager had taken what I said to heart, He could have gone to the city building department and said, hey, guys, use an old estimating guide, not a new one. The law says 60 days after the emergency's over, which was November. So we had November and October. We had all the way till January that none of the prices could be increased. But yet the cost of repair went up and the cost of value went down. More people got ruined. That could have been prevented. It was a mistake. And he made the mistake. I told him about it. He ignored me. He dismissed me immediately. I got this, don't worry. He didn't have it. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment?
My name's Charles Lunsford. I'm 85 years old, come to this beach for 85. This is my 15th or 16th election. I've seen everything over these decades, everything. There's always a squabble. The question that jumped out on me, because I'm a highly educated person also, did we not extend the city manager's contract 5 months ago? If we did, I don't know, is that a true statement? Did we extend his contract?
So this is not a Q&A. If you ask a question, then when the commission has a
Okay.
discussion,
Well,
we'll
here's my
discuss
question.
it.
The rumor I heard that he was extended his contract. I can look at him and ask him and he'd nod, whatever. But I don't know. Here's my point. Did he just start doing this? Has this happened just in the last 5 months? Why was the contract extended? And you have the council members here. It seems to me that y'all could have an executive committee that meets with him on a monthly basis, gives him the list of things to do, and either does them or doesn't do them. But it's hard to get good people. It's hard to get average people to want to come into small communities because there's always this arguing back and forth, streets, who knows who, and this and that. When I first came here, we didn't have one city manager. Every council member acted like they were the city manager. All you had to do was talk to the employees. You know, when I retired, I sat in my house over here. They used to have these meetings twice a month. You contracted out the sheriff's. I was here when the sheriff's department was here. You had 21 of them, 22 of them. They went with Pinellas County. Okay, that's okay. Then the next time I come down here, they're getting bids for the fire department with Seminole. They were getting bids for that. They were also going to get bids for picking up trash. So I got out of my little chair and walked over to the building, not this building, which was a very expensive building. And I asked a question. Why do we need more than one person to sign contracts? Because everything's being contracted out. This is a beautiful beach. The people out here here for a reason. We've all had issues maybe with the manager, but not all of them are bad. Some of them are good. It's hard to find good folks. And if we did extend his contract, is it possible to do something like, okay, we'll put you on a probationary period for a year or 6 years, a year or something like that, and have a stronger executive oversee him and give him what to do, and either does or doesn't. If he doesn't do it, then you can do what you need to do. But when you start trying to elect people in this community, for this community, with all the other competitions, it's hard to find good people. I know he's rough. I'm rough. I was rough too in my career. And so that's it. I mean, I just hate to see the city always in a turmoil. And it's not just this beach, there's another beach, and then one after that. But I understand you're from Georgia. I am too, so I understand Georgians. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment?
Hello, Captain Dylan Hubbard from Hubbard's Marina. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The first thing I wanted to speak about was the dredge issue. To the earlier points, as Mayor Hendricks stated, previous Mayor Hendricks stated, Robin, when he first started out, was a very strong city manager. We had a close relationship, and I was hopeful and positive about the path forward because we had seen some turnover and turmoil with previous city managers. So when he came on, I thought we were going to be in a really good spot. Unfortunately, things went sour when the dredge situation came up. Since he was hired, he told me the money was allocated in September of 2022. We stood out front with a big check, took photos. It was great. And we were all excited. Finally got the money after 30 years of effort, literally. And that was September of 22. Since he was hired, at multiple public meetings, on public records, at chamber meetings, in these chambers, at multiple different times, we're just waiting for Army Corps. We're just waiting for, it got to the point where he would see me coming and he would, hey, we're waiting for Army Corps. And that's how he got me to shut up. And in June of 2024, I had an interview with Channel 10 News. That interview reporter was an investigative reporter, and she sat with me, and I was like, hey, we're just waiting for Army Corps. That was the line I kept getting fed. Well, she didn't take that as the answer. She went and did her research and found out from Army Corps, they said, what are you talking about? We don't have a permit application from Madeira Beach. That's not true. And she went to meet with Mayor Gomez, never returned her calls. He never met with her. And from that point forward, he won't talk to me. He avoids me, won't answer phone calls, messages, emails, just straight up treats me like the Black Plague. And I have no communication. As a business owner and someone involved in the city's events, it's very frustrating. And it's very sad to see us at this point today. The jetty issue, I mean, to me, as a business owner, if an employee was totally left field, wasting money and not consulting management and those type of decisions, that's a fireable offense in and of itself. I mean, you had a very small end of the jetty that was a problem. And instead of fixing that small end of the jetty, which these chambers discussed doing, they went out there in a fit of what was essentially a tantrum and tore up the jetty. And you were worried about people going around signs and caution tape to a dangerous area. That was the story I heard, is we're worried about people hurting themselves. So they kept going around the signs. Well, then you jackhammer the whole thing up and leave rubble and rebar. And what happened? We put up caution tapes and signs. We were worried about people going around caution tape and sign before. Why would caution tape and sign all of a sudden stop people? There was no logic to it whatsoever. And now, instead of a small fix, we have a long, drawn-out process that's going to be severely costly to the city and to taxpayers. The swim buoy debacle, I mean, come on. I don't know how you look at that without just extreme mismanagement. I don't understand how any other conclusion is drawn from that. Seafood Fest, I mean, supposed to be a positive thing, supposed to bring people to Johns Pass. Seafood Fest didn't happen post-hurricane, understandably, but then it was planned during the middle of our spring break without consulting the businesses. Seafood Festival was designed by the businesses, for Johns Pass, and it was used as a weapon against us to punish business this year. And when the businesses reached out to the city, we were told to deal with it, or straight up ignored. It was so beyond frustrating. And now Seafood Fest is coming up, and the Recreation Department applied for funding incorrectly. So I had to work with the funding department to get the funding fixed so we could get funding this year. And then I ask about, hey, are we going to get any updates about Seafood Fest? And I get ignored. And then finally the updates come, and I was told that I need to buy in. Final Friday, what happened there? It was a great event. I was spending countless thousands of dollars as a private business to advertise and to bring people to Madeira Beach. Caddy's was too. And then Final Fridays goes away behind the storm. Magically, it comes back, and it's not Final Friday anymore. Businesses were not consulted. The businesses that were sponsoring the event were not consulted. And when we make noise about it and try to ask for some conversations, we're ignored. I just don't understand why businesses are being alienated, ignored, and vilified. We're trying to spend money to help you promote Johns Pass, promote Madeira Beach, to bring people to our community, to make it better for residents. And we're literally being, I mean, to me, sabotaged. It's crazy. My big issue is once you're on his bad side, you're alienated and vilified. And I've belabored that point, so I'm going to scooch past that one. The Johns Pass parking garage. Mayor Hendricks brought it up. A lot of businesses in Johns Pass are really frustrated. We passed a resolution to increase parking. We don't like increased parking. You look at Johns Pass social media, their Google page, that's the #1 complaint about Johns Pass is it's too expensive to go there. The parking's too high. But we voted to increase parking prices. Why? Because 50 cents of those dollars were supposed to go to this parking garage fund. The parking garage was talked about. We voted on it. We agreed to a parking increase, and nothing has been done. It just keeps getting ignored, pushed down. The truck issue most recently, I mean, as a business owner, an employee goes out and spends a ridiculous amount of money without permission. Something was supposed to be happening, right? Someone's supposed to be held accountable. I mean, it's ridiculous that we're spending $20,000 in upgrades and no one's held accountable. It's a bad look to the city. It's a bad look to our residents, to our visitors, and it's a wanton waste of taxpayer dollars. Hopefully we can do something about it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment?
Jim Rostech, my address is protected. Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners, well, it looks like we've gone full circle, especially with me. There are at least 24 residents that won't be here today. They are afraid of retribution. They know how Gomez acts and is, and I feel their pain now as it appears I'm being targeted because I made the claim that the code enforcement's not doing their job. Well, it's pretty clear that that is the fact when there are numerous violations and a resident has to report them. So that's pretty cut and dry. We promote what we permit. Within the city, it's a culture of deny, deflect, lie, and gaslight those who question. It is very clear that the city manager provides a blank checkbook to some department heads. Look at the FY26 budget. It's truly out of control. With 2 back-to-back storms and the associated aftermath, the budget should be flat. The budget should be held at a maintained current level of service only. No wants, just needs. There is still time to modify that. It's not only the city manager who's out of control with the budget, it's department heads too. Why do I say that? Well, they're rarely told no. The Bank of Gomez is always open. Good to me, blank check to you. Significant delays, roadblocks in obtaining permits for months post-storm's recovery, delaying our residents and businesses the ability to fix and open or return to their homes. How many businesses throughout the city are still closed? It's sad to see. How many homeowners are still homeless because they can't get permits or whatever? There's some things we just don't know. Several pieces of equipment and vehicles were lost during the hurricane. There's a lack of leadership without accountability. If I did stuff like that in the fire service, I'd be out on the outside looking in. This is ludicrous. There is no accountability, and it's extremely sad. Contracts. Mr. Gomez and department heads have repeatedly failed to conform to the city's purchasing policy. That's in the charter. We are violating the city charter, people, and there's no accountability for this. Why is that? The swim markers, the walkway removal, it's already been hammered home. There were other options, and we chose bad paths for whatever reason. Flagrant, discriminatory, and or selective enforcement practices or no enforcement is the standard allowed by the city manager himself, staff, or contracted staff. works the Wednesday market instead of running the city, attends public meetings with internal and external customers, agencies, and elected officials. His attire has been inappropriate for some of these meetings. I was told I had to take some things out of what I was going to say because it wouldn't have been so nice, so I did. I listened to the wife. The Seafood Festival. Pathetic net profit. Don't know why. The one thing that stuck out to me is, and I can only assume it was paid, we paid $8,000 for a photographer? There's one right there, Commissioner Hoosh. He's a photographer. $8,000? You're kidding me, I hope. I hope it's a mistake, but it's been put in the official record. Refused to implement safety policies to protect the city's employees. And here's one that's going to drive home, and it saddens me to even bring this one up. Allowed the Madeira Beach fire chief to hire another previous department's fire chief as a new firefighter. Within a year, magically made another chief's position just for him, costing the taxpayers $200K for initial salary, benefits, and vehicle. I have a whole lot of information on this, but I'm going to run out of time. I have the facts. Is it a coincidence? No. This needs to be investigated. There's a problem here. Fact. 80 to 90% of all 911 calls for emergency services are for medical emergencies that require no supervision. And we have two chiefs? There's something very wrong here, people. It's the good old boys club at the expense of us, the taxpayers. The Gomez-Belk approved, though. The city manager does not return calls or inquiries in a timely manner from other elected officials. The cancer destroying the city comes from within. It is the city manager and some department heads, and it's spreading unchecked. Look at the budget right around the city. It is unbelievable, the heartache I see. It's the homes and what's left. The longer you wait, the worse the recovery will be. If you don't remove the city manager, or if you remove the city manager, hopefully the attitude of some department heads will change. If not, some of them would need to go too, because they're acting just like him. The reputation, fate, and future of our wonderful city is in your hands. The legacy you leave behind will be etched in the minds of our residents for generations to come. The positive and the negative. Everything stated or construed to be an accusation in this document, I have the hardcore evidence and will supply it to anybody who wants it. Thank you for your time. God bless you all.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? With no more comment? Yes, please.
How's it going, guys? I'm Alec Condacor. I represent Starlight Cruises. We operate the Calypso Breeze out of Johns Pass.
Can you, so they can hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little tall.
My name's Alec Condacor. I represent the Starlight Cruise Line, and we run the Calypso Breeze out of Johns Pass. So we also have a huge issue with sand. And essentially right now, it's costing us diesel fuel, it's costing us time. And from our standpoint, I don't feel like y'all have put a lot of effort in towards making sure that our primary tourist trap, per se, is safe not only for us, but the Hubbards as well. You know what I mean? And, it's a big issue because I know we bring in a lot of tax money to you guys. as far as, city manager goes, I struggled. My family, I'm a Madera Beach resident, and my family's been here since the 50s. My family's owned Gulf Gardens. And through the whole process after the hurricane and all that, I know I came and I talked with you. And I asked for your help. And you shut me down every step of the way. And I was asking very simple questions. At the end of the day, you got to remember, this is a community not just full of newcomers, but you've got a lot of people that have been here a long time. And we've always rebuilt back our community. And I'm not, for all the years that I've seen this go on, this was the last time or the first time that I'd seen it, where we got like so much kickback from you guys for just simply putting our community back together. With that, it's just not how it always was. We're looking for you guys to come back to not so much the fishing community, but a community that stands behind their citizens. And we haven't seen that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Mayor, Commissioner, John Connolly, Normandy Road, Madera Beach. We've talked about all the wrong things that have been done, but we haven't talked about Tom and Kitty Stewart Park and why it isn't back opened. It is one of the places that brings in our revenue. And that would be number one on my list after the hurricane, trying to, just like Archibald Park, to get it up and running and get the revenue. What gets me is you allowed caddies to drive through it, but you say that it isn't able to support us for parking. Meanwhile, the county knocked down their wall, put a fence around it, and cleaned the parking lot and opened. And I'm still wondering why this hasn't been done at Kitty Stewart. I mean, if this is a source of revenue for us, to leave that October, November before anything gets done, it's just ludicrous to me. Because I think that would be one of the things. We need money now. We're hurting. We lost money from the hurricane, the damage. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? So when we close comments, that will be it. There'll be no more discussion with the public. So if you have something to say, please say it now.
Hey, Mayor and group. I didn't make the meeting.
Give your name, please.
My name's Edward Smith. My company's E.F. Smith & Associates. We build homes on the beach. And I also own property on the beach. You guys have passed for the elevated homes now, where they can extend their steps out, extend balconies out to 5 feet. What about the new homes that are being built, elevated? Are they allowed the same?
So it's not a Q&A, it's just a statement, and the statements really now are about the city manager.
I understand, but if this is the first time I could get here to say something, we should be, as we're elevating people's homes, that a lot of these small lots can only have a 3-foot balcony. That's unsafe.
So if you'll stay till the meeting's over, we can have a discussion about that.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
I'm just hoping we can get something clarified on it, because I got people who are coming down and going, hey, if they can have it, why can't we have it? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment before we close public comment? With no additional public comment, public comment is closed. Commission?
First, you want me to? We've had a lot of comments here today, starting with the mayor about concerns. I think we need an opportunity to put those concerns together and have an opportunity for the city manager to address those, because some of the things that I've heard this evening they may have some truth to them, but they don't have the full picture. We sit here several times a month and hear concerns. Some of us hear concerns on a daily basis when we're out and about. I just jotted down a few things, and I'm not going to go into each individual ones because I may not have all the information, but I at least want the city manager to have an opportunity to look at those concerns. And then we can make a judgment. I'm not ready to make a judgment on anything this evening. And if forced to, I'm going to support the city manager. He has a contract.
This is not a voting meeting, so we're not voting.
Well,
This is a discussion, and Robin can involve in this discussion as well if he so chooses.
But there was so many things that were brought up that I think we need to have an opportunity for him to, and we can do it in writing and do it verbally, and I'll leave it to him to do that. But this is not a trial. We had Hurricane Helene come through here last September, and I think this city's made one heck of a rebound. My home has been destroyed. I understand completely. So be respectful. When I have an opportunity to speak my thoughts, I was respectful for everyone that wanted to get up and speak. So many people were had to locate somewhere else because they couldn't live in their home. I came back to my home. I didn't spend one more night there. So, all these issues are issues. I don't take them lightly. But this last 10 months has been something above and beyond. Now, have there been mistakes? Sure. You bring up the buoys, and that's something we can address. We did address, and we can address further. Being able to, I've considered, there was a change in prior commissions to have the city manager have from a $15,000 to a $30,000 to make that decision on your own. Well, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe we need to bring it back to 15 so that we make sure that we have discussion here on the board for anything over 15,000. There was a lot of public outrage on that, and whether you liked the decision or you didn't, it was a decision he made. Okay, and that's been corrected. I don't think you throw a man out for one decision on that. Now we can address the other ones, but all in all, I think he's. I'm not here to debate with the public. The public's done. Thank you.
Let's be respectful and allow the vice mayor to speak, please.
So that's where I stand. He has an opportunity to address any and all these issues, and I look forward to hearing that. And when we're finished with that, then we'll make a decision where we go from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to remind everybody that everybody sitting up here lives here. Couple of our commissioners had no place to live maybe still don't. I myself have spent more than I paid for my house in renovations because of all the damage that was done to my house. We understand. I'm one of two people that live on my block because the rest of the properties are one story. So please do not accuse anyone up here of not understanding. We know what's going on. I too would like to allow Mr. Gomez an opportunity to address some of these issues. I'm familiar with all of them, and I'd really like to hear what he has to say at some point during this session. It's easy to sit back and judge what leaders and administrators do and try to frame the action as good or bad without fully knowing what went into the decision to choose that action. The majority of residents saw jetty's gone. What led up to that? Nothing of significance is he black or white. Nothing is all good or all bad. And when it comes to forming an opinion without taking time to make an informed opinion, what's the point of that? Because leadership is hard, leadership is messy, and what you see on the surface of a leader's choice rarely represents the thought process that led to that decision or choice. That said, I tried to prepare for this meeting with an open mind. And today, I plan to listen to the actual, I've listened to the actual data which you have presented, and I appreciate everyone being here. Just a reminder, we have meetings every month. Love to see you then. So let's just take a look. I've tried to listen to it based on, try not to be swayed by subjective opinions or based on emotions or limited experience or personal bias. Let's look at data. It's clear that the removal of the jetty was an unpopular decision. After the fact, this board held a discussion at a workshop where we voiced our concerns over the action. Once we were informed that the decision was made with regards to public safety and to avoid a lawsuit due to personal injury, many of us agreed that we probably would have made the same decision, although we would have preferred to be consulted for such a public-facing action. I ask that you remember that this decision had to be made on the tail of a 150-year catastrophe. No one alive today has any memory of anything nearly as bad as we experienced, and there was certainly no precedence for how to handle every situation that comes up after a weather event that caused every barrier island to sustain 4 to 6 feet of flooding. Madeira Beach was one big danger zone for many weeks and even months. That's a lot of decisions to make when there isn't a handbook of processes to follow. In my opinion, lesson learned. Let's do better next time. And we've had that, I personally have had that discussion with Mr. Gomez. Earlier in the year, Mr. Gomez made the decision to remove the floating buoys, which, by the way, have to be replaced every hurricane season because they're destroyed, and replace them with permanent channel markers, exactly like the ones used on Clearwater Beach. This proved to be wildly unpopular in our city. I myself thought they were hideous. I wasn't pleased with the way it looked, but instead of losing my mind, I made an appointment with our city manager to express my concerns, to allow him an opportunity to explain the reasons that he chose that action. As I said earlier, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I learned that the buoy installation had only just begun, and that the poles that we were seeing would all be cut down to resemble channel markers. I was shown a picture of the buoys off Clearwater Beach and saw that they were not intrusive visually. More important, they were permanent and would not need to be replaced every year. Further, the plan that had been to extend the swim zone for the entire length of Madeira Beach, which is something that I've been pushing for many years. Was it a bad decision or action, or was it just handled clumsily? If there had been any resident workshops or any Board of Commissioner involvement, there would have been an opportunity to express agreement or disagreement. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And as a result, the unfinished buoy markers removed before any residents knew that the project wasn't really finished. It just started. Could it have been handled better? Yes, I think so. But nothing illegal or nefarious was involved in this action. And to say that there was shows a lack of understanding of the city manager's duties and responsibilities. That said, Mr. Gomez was instructed to allow more engagements by residents and the Board of Commissioners for any future projects that were public-facing. I've seen since that time that there have been public workshops for park designs and for city's master plan, and residents were given an opportunity to vote for their favorite murals at Archibald Park and as well as John's Pass parking facility. Again, lesson learned. It was mentioned at a prior workshop that there were employees who were disgruntled with Mr. Gomez. When I heard that, I thought, well, there's something that I can verify for myself. Since last week, I've spoken to every department supervisor and or director, and I spoke to a couple of other employees, not supervisors, and a few non-leadership employees. I started each interview with a statement that in order to allow each individual to be completely candid without fear of retribution, I would not state any specific names, only their comments. So these are their comments, but I'm not going to share their names as promised. From the directors and supervisors, I heard the following comments about Mr. Gomez. He's the easiest and most positive city manager they've ever worked with. This meeting, the one we're in now, will cause a disruption in running the city. It's a bad time to have this conversation. We have strong staff support from their department. I give Mr. Gomez my full support. Mr. Gomez is completely involved and engaged in our city's success. He's the best manager in 10 years, treats all employees with respect, honest and fair, no malice, takes a thoughtful approach to every situation. We have no negative issues with Mr. Gomez. He's very consistent. He doesn't micromanage. He hires good leaders and lets them do their job. He's very supportive of the department and every employee in it. They feel respected, and he's dealing with a very challenging time in our city. Of all the employees that I spoke with, I presented this question. If it was up to city employees to replace Mr. Gomez, would you replace him? Every single department head, chair, or supervisor voted to keep Mr. Gomez. Only one city employee voted no. I won't give you the titles because it would ignore the discretion which I promised, but only one voted out of everyone I spoke to was not happy with the way Mr. Gomez ran the city. To be fair, I've spoken to and heard from a few residents who would like to have Mr. Gomez replaced. Some of the issues they reported were pitted roads, the slow which is usually the responsibility of the Department of Transportation, the slow progress of the municipal beach, which is a county beach over which our city has no control, slow undergrounding of power lines, which is completely the responsibility of Duke Energy, slow progress of the Johns Pass dredging problem. I know this is not news to anyone here, and it has to be, but I know it has to be approved by multiple entities, including, as it was mentioned earlier, the Army Corps of Engineers. Overgrown yards and abandoned houses, all of which have been investigated as they're reported by our code enforcement. But each of these situations legally requires due process, which involves multiple contacts and interactions with the owner before any drastic action can be taken. Again, the island was under 4 to 6 feet of water last year. Please show me the ordinance or rules which tell us exactly how to run the city when over the half of the houses on the island are unlivable. I've also heard from residents who are appalled by the fact that we are even having this meeting. Some of the comments are, Mr. Gomez professionally and pragmatically helped us sort out an issue we were having with the neighbor. Again, I will not give names because I promised I would be discreet. Mr. Gomez helped us to resolve a building issue we were having, and he used our solution to help similar situations throughout the city. Sorry, excuse me. Mr. Gomez listened patiently to our concern and helped us define an answer to our concerns. Mr. Gomez demonstrates the kind of exemplary leadership that my family and I appreciate, and we are glad to have him as our city manager. Is Mr. Gomez perfect in every decision he makes? I dare say no. But like the quote from the Bible, that he is who without sin cast the first stone. Is there room for improvement? Yes. Just as there is room for improvement in each and every one of us. My first reaction to Mayor Book's request to have this meeting last week was no. This meeting is not needed. But as I said, I've gone into this with an open mind. The fact that there are so many folks who see things differently than me tells me I needed to follow the advice of a former boss of mine. Stop worrying about being right and wrong. Always seek the truth. Considering the amount of time and effort and dedication Mr. Gomez has demonstrated during the catastrophe of last year, I think that based on that alone, he deserves the opportunity to prove any areas of concern before we even consider finding a replacement for him. With that in mind, I'd like to recommend an action plan. Moving forward, Mr. Gomez would be monitored by the Board of Commission or another entity that we may decide for specific items that we consider crucial. Some of the items might be, does not lead the team. We need more specifics, but we can illustrate them and put them on an action plan. The dredging project. How is city manager responsible for this lay? Add regular inquiries to the city manager duties. The jetty. Always consult with Board of Commissioner and residents for any large public-facing projects or decision. Lack of updates is requested. Let's put a time certain. Every time we ask for an update, let's say, I want this by next week. Is that reasonable? Not adhering to the city's purchasing policy. As Commissioner Kerr said, well, if we don't like the policy, that's our fault. We need to change it. We need to lower the amount that he's allowed to spend. All I can say is I've done my best to keep an open mind about this, and that I hope you will too. And Mayor, I hope we can give Mr. Gomez an opportunity to address some of the issues that have been brought up here today. Thank you.
Commissioners?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's meeting. This has been a really difficult week for everyone here. You know, I'm a friend of Robin's. I'm a friend of his family's. This meeting is designed to allow the citizens of Madeira Beach the opportunity to voice their opinions on the city manager's performance. This meeting will help the Board of Commissioners decide if we want to move into a different direction. We are a strong and resilient community. We've gone through a lot. We will continue to be strong and resilient. I appreciate everyone that attended this meeting today and that attended or is watching this meeting at home. Most of the issues have been covered already. I would like to say that I would also like to give Robin a chance to explain. However, as a military veteran, I believe in the chain of command. The chain of command in this city, number one on top is the residents. Number two is the Board of Commissioners and the mayor. Number three is the city manager. Number four is the department heads. Never forget who is number one and what they want to achieve. Thank you.
Commissioner?
I also would like to thank the citizens to be here today. It speaks volumes. I consider myself a public servant. We are all here to serve this wonderful public. And I was really looking for some positive responses. I didn't hear anything. It's been so far negative. Public speaks volumes. And as I mentioned, I'm a public servant. I'm serving these folks and I'm listening to them. So I am not in favor of holding on to our city manager. Thank you.
So I would like to address a few things that were brought up here, and a couple of things that I received in emails. So I received dozens of emails asking that we move forward with the removal of the city manager. I did not get one person who sent me anything that said, why are you doing this? Can we have a conversation? I had conversations with the mayor last night. Half of the room came up and spoke to me about our meeting today and supporting it. Of all of the people who either emailed me or spoke to me last night or in days previous since our meeting last week, it has been consistently told to me that they wouldn't be here today to speak. They may be here today in the audience, but they would not come to speak for fear of retribution from the city manager. The tone, unfortunately, and I like Robin, this is not personal at all. This is about the city, it's business. We've had one-on-ones where we've discussed all of these items. When you talk about the pilings, when those pilings went in the ground and the community got outraged over it and we received emails and there was so much information in social media and people complaining about it, I personally had a conversation with the city manager and asked him, do not take them out of the ground. Call a meeting. Let's explain it to the community. Let's explain what they're going to look like when they're in. Maybe if people understand what we spent almost $30,000 on, then they would be okay with it. And he refused to do that and he pulled them out. That was a violation of the spending policy because he spent over $30,000 putting them in and taking them out. Just because there were two invoices does not make it two separate projects. That's the same project, and that is a spending policy, against the spending policy. On the jetty, I was here after the hurricanes in City Hall, working alongside city staff in the community, And when the jetty became an issue, I personally had a conversation with Robin and said, call a meeting. Let the community be involved. Let the commission be involved. Get an engineer to go look at the jetty to tell us that the jetty needs to come out, that it can't be repaired. Bring it before the community. Let us vote. And again, he refused to do that. And as a side, the residents did not vote on all the murals. They only voted on the one at Archibald, but that's aside. It doesn't matter. They all look great. And for the staff to say that he's the easiest person to work with, I'm sure he is. He doesn't discipline. He doesn't have oversight on what's going on in the city. And I've brought examples of that here. An additional example would be the recreation center that during Milton got less than an inch of water, and we tore the drywall out, and the statement was made at our last meeting that by the time they got in there, it was all moldy. The pictures provided to me showed that staff was in there the day after Milton, squeegeeing out what little bit of water was in there, and the photographs that were provided by ServPro that should have just dried it out because it was fresh water did not show any mold in any of the photographs that were provided to me. So if there was mold, I requested the photographs on more than one occasion and did not get it. I also sat here at that time and listened to staff from multiple departments talk about remodeling, not just the rec center, but moving the building department up, remodeling all this. And all that conversation went on in a room with the city manager. And I said to the city manager, you can't do that without the commission voting on that. And there has to be a record of the emails that were sent by the previous building official to the designer to have the drawings done, because that was done. So when I sit here and I am in support of looking for a new city manager, it isn't based on one or two things. It's based on a pattern. It's based on a management style. And it's wonderful to work for someone that you really like, that's really nice to you. But that person also has to know how to reprimand you when you're doing something wrong. Pay attention to what's going on in the departments. Leading is not just riding around town in the Kubota and picking up trash. It's sitting in your office, paying attention to what's going on, mentoring the people that are working for you, and being present in the day-to-day activities of the city. So I didn't come here lightly when I brought this last week at our meeting. I'm not sitting here lightly today. But we do have the residents that showed up. I am in support in looking for a new city manager. I don't support just saying, well, we should let him do better. I feel like he's had the opportunity to do better, and he's chose not to. So, City Attorney, we spoke about this earlier today.
Yes.
So my understanding is the next step would be we would have to have an additional meeting.
So the steps are laid out in Section 5.4 of the city charter. Section 5.4 says that the first step would be to bring forward a preliminary charging document. It would be in the form of a resolution. In that charging document, I would need to, when I prepare it, have to list the reasons for removal in specificity. I'd also need to include in that resolution whether or not the commission wants to suspend the city manager from duty or not. Once that resolution is complete, it would be considered by the commission either a special meeting or a regular meeting. Then, if it was adopted, the resolution would be delivered to the city manager. The city manager would then have 5 days in which to either resign from the position or request a public hearing. I call it a name-clearing hearing. That hearing would have to take place no earlier than 15 days and no later than 30 days after the request is made. At that hearing, the Board of Commissioners can either accept the resignation or adopt a final resolution of removal. All during this time, the city manager would be entitled to continue to receive all of his salary and benefits until the effective date of the resolution, the final resolution, or the resignation itself. And I would remind the commission that Mr. Gomez has an employment agreement which has been amended twice. And there was a question raised as to whether or not his term had been extended. It has been extended until December 31st, 2028. But the employment agreement provides a process as to what his severance pay would be if he was let go. And we can go into those details if it gets to that level. But the first step would be for me to prepare that charging document or resolution. So I would need direction from the commission to do that.
Mayor, excuse me, Mayor and Commission, at this point, my suggestion would be if the commission would be amenable to a separation agreement and move forward based on some of what Mr. Trask just stated, but simply ending the agreement. So I would provide to Mr. Trask, and he would have the ability to discuss with each one of you that settlement agreement, and then you can place it on the next workshop. Well, I don't think we have enough time, or a different meeting, and then just vote to approve that separation agreement. The next regular meeting is on the 10th of September, so the vote could happen at that time. So if the commission would be, that would move the process and not have to go through this very lengthy, well, I shouldn't say lengthy, I don't know what the time period, it adds some time to it, but if the commission is, I'm willing to just proceed in that manner.
Commissioners?
If that's what Mr. Gomez is suggesting, I have no problem with that separation agreement.
Disheartening, but if that's the way that you would like to proceed.
Commissioners?
I agree. Let's proceed.
If that's the way the city manager wishes to proceed.
I would support that also.
Okay, so there would be no action that would be necessary at this meeting then, if that's the consensus or direction. So once I receive the separation proposal from Mr. Gomez, I will review it with him and then obviously come back to you with a recommendation and maybe even a draft separation agreement that either I would prepare or Mr. Gomez or his representative would prepare for consideration at an upcoming regular or special meeting. And then at that point, if it's accepted, then obviously we need to appoint a acting city manager. And under your charter, that's within 48 hours of Mr. Gomez resigning, you have to appoint a acting city manager. And then, of course, we can go through the process of, getting a recruiter and go through the recruitment process to fill the vacant position.
Okay. Do we have anything additional?
No, thank you.
Commissioners, thank you. Anything additional, commissioners? Good. Then it is 3:09 and we are adjourned.